My name is Tressa Johnson, and I'm really excited to be here for the second year in a row just to remind you about your disability and life benefits. And I am with Unum, and I'm not a big PowerPoint presenter, so I apologize if I don't drive this thing correctly. But I always like to tee up disability insurance. Anybody want to tell me in layman's terms what disability insurance means to them? Exactly. It's paycheck insurance. I always like to paint a picture and say, if you had a machine inside your house that spit out your annual income in dollar bills, would you pay to insure it? Answer is yes. The great thing, though, is you don't have to pay to insure your paycheck. KSU pays for it on your behalf. So exactly how disability insurance works is you've got two terms to be familiar with: short-term disability and long-term disability. Short-term disability basically begins after a 30-day period of not being able to work. If you become too ill to work or get hurt off the job, Unum begins to replace your income after 30 days at a 60% income replacement up to $1,500 a week, and we pay that for the first 9 weeks of a disability. So short-term disability replaces your weekly income, so essentially you get a weekly paycheck, and that's paid for the first 9 weeks. Now, what happens if you're unable to return to work after the first 9 weeks of a disability? You don't have to worry. That's when long-term disability kicks in. Long-term disability pays a little differently. It actually pays on a monthly basis, so we will replace 60% of your income up to $10,000 a month through age 65. I kind of call this sleep insurance because heaven forbid something were to happen to you, catastrophic, that kept you from not being able to work. You don't have to worry about it because your income will continue to be replaced through age 65. Questions on that? Yes, ma'am. Correct. Any other questions? Just to reinforce, that is such a great benefit. You don't pay a dime for it. KSU pays for that on your behalf. Now, a little bit more of a morbid subject, but unfortunately, the elephant in the room, life insurance, what's the one thing we all have in common? We're going to die. And again, very positive is that as an employee working here, KSU pays for a $50,000 life insurance policy on your behalf. Now, the great thing, too, is you can really think about this policy more along the lines of a $100,000 death benefit, because there is a $50,000 accidental death and dismemberment benefit tied to that essentially says if you were to pass away as a result of an accident, which frankly during our working years, that's more likely what would happen to us, our beneficiary would receive $100,000. There is dismemberment portions to that. I won't go into the morbid details, but just wanted to remind you that it was there. Now, for those of you that want to participate in additional voluntary life insurance above and beyond what KSU provides to you, you absolutely have the option to do that. Just as a reminder, as an employee, you can elect up to 5 times your annual income, up to $500,000 on yourself. You can elect the same amount on a spouse as you do on yourself, and up to $10,000 on all your dependent children. There is also accidental death and dismemberment benefits tied to that plan as well. Now, one thing I wanted to remind you, for those of you that have participated in this coverage when you first were offered it, so for those of you that were here this time last year, and for any new hire that was hired throughout the year, and you enrolled in something, this is your opportunity to increase your coverage to those guaranteed issue amounts with no evidence of good health. So for those employees, that's up to $150,000. So if you enrolled in a $10,000 voluntary term life benefit last year, you can go from $10,000 to $150,000 during this enrollment period, no evidence of insurability. Or you can increase it another $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000, whatever you need to do. For your spouse, if you enrolled in something, you can go up to $25,000 on your spouse, and your dependent children caps out at $10,000. questions on that feature? No? Okay. Just as a reminder, this coverage is portable and or convertible. Not that you plan on leaving, but if for whatever reason you are leaving KSU, you can take this coverage with you. Portable says you can take this coverage with you at the exact same rates that you're having payroll deducted now, as long as you don't have any type of health event that has a material impact on your life expectancy. If you are leaving, basically, unfortunately, again, a morbid thought, with a health event that is expecting to take your life, you can convert the coverage to an individually owned contract, and the rates do change a little bit there. Last thing I want to point out, and this is for voluntary life only, rates are 5-year age banded, so the rates do increase as you age. And as the bottom points out, coverage does decrease. This is a term policy designed to cover you during your working years. It reduces at 65% of the original face amount at age 65, and then reduces again by 50% at age 70, and that's it. Questions on anything that I've covered? Oh yes, thank you, Carla. I'm going to forget that. This is a great time to think about your beneficiary updates. So for those of you that feel like you may need to make changes, this is a great time of year to do so. Thank you very much.